I'm here in Porthcawl at Europe's largest Elvis festival. This is an event where all the Elvis tribute artists get together, compete to be the best Elvis. Elvis at different stages of his life. Elvis when he was young, Elvis in the army, Elvis when he was a big fat bloke in Vegas. All of it's happening here in Porthcawl. So today I'm going to spend some time, meet the organisers, meet the Elvises, and I'm going to spend some time in Wales. So just for the Welsh people, I'm going to say this in Welsh. Corey C. Porthcawl, PVV Elvis on Europe. Now I know that probably meant nothing, and there's some Bangladeshi people who understood that more than the Welsh, but I had to go. Saying that the two of you came up with this when you went to live?
Started off in a bar in Beale Street in Memphis in 1999. You know, the idea came from two things, right? We've done Graceland in the afternoon. I'm a big Elvis fan. He's always been like fringe.
Fringe.
So we're having a few beers, right, in a bar in Beale Street. He turns to me, first quote, "There's definitely something in this." And then somebody persuades him to watch Kevin Costner's Field of Dreams.
Oh
and he
yeah.
gets If you build it, he will come.
Yeah.
That's the business model.
Hey, I tell you what, that's a brilliant line for this. Why did you start it here in Porthcawl?
I lived here a few years ago, and the Grand Pavilion was under threat of closure. It's a wonderful old 1920s building. But Jan Atkins, who was the lady who was the manager of the pavilion, she said, "Any ideas? We're looking for new shows." And I said, "Why don't we do this Elvis Award show?" And a couple of people in the town, the High Tide and the Brentwood, said, "We'll get behind that." I said, "We'll make a little festival. We're going to get artists in. You might as well play in your pub, and that will share the fees to get them in the town." And that's how it started, and the town got behind it. It works because it's Porthcawl. It's like it's one of those bizarre things that shouldn't work.
It's just a goodwill, isn't it?
If you actually said, if we were sitting in America or something and said, "We're going to do an Elvis festival in Europe," where would you do it? You'd probably put it somewhere like Blackpool or, I don't know, obvious places. The fact that it's not obvious and the town have like embraced it, if you tried to force it onto a town that don't really care whether they have it or not, like, it means a lot to Porthcawl.
And I suppose also you got that other thing is that you can't come for a day. People come for the weekend, don't they?
This is what Elvis would look like.
Oh, look at the lads. We've got to have a chat with the lads. Hey, all right, so how are we boys? What's the occasion? Is it a stag do, or is this how you normally live?
No. This is every weekend for us.
I thought it was going to be an Elvis gig, but I didn't think everyone was going to get into it. Is this the first time you've done it?
No, 3 years now. I wear this every day. What are you talking about?
3 years?
Yeah.
Oh, looking good, lads, looking good. So when did you hear last night?
We live in Bridgend.
Oh, right. So you only live in Bridgend. So you've dressed up and come on the bus. Yeah. This is what Wales is all about, isn't it? It's like an advert for the Welsh Tourism Board. Have a good weekend, boys. What do you do?
Same, come from Hull, watch Elvis.
You've come from Hull?
Yeah.
Oh no, not on bikes.
No way.
Yeah.
Got robbed, hitchhiked the rest of the world.
You're taking the piss out of you. You've rode bikes down from Hull?
No, they got nicked at Peterborough.
So you've rode bikes to Peterborough, you got nicked, and then instead of thinking, sod it, we'll go home.
Jumping trains and everything.
We're
We're now, aren't we?
I think this is officially the maddest part of Britain today.
Carl is first, second is Ricky Aaron, third Ponty Presley, Carl Memphis King and PJ Gallagher. Everyone happy? If you've got any issues with any sort of the judges, either come and see me or come and see Peter, and I know the answer you'll get.
Now we're fortunate enough now to have one of the world's best Elvis tribute artists. I'm here with Craig Parker. That's not an exaggeration by saying you are one of the world's best.
Well, I have the best time, I'll say that.
How long have you been doing it?
About 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
And what was the thing that started it for you?
This came at me, you know, as an opportunity for a party one time, and I said, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do Elvis. It'll be fun. And
So you did it
man,
just for the party?
Just for a birthday
Right.
party, man, and it just exploded. It was just one party after another.
And at what stage in your doing Elvis for a bit of fun at a birthday party did you think, I could possibly make a living out of this?
Well, you know, I've heard that guys do it for a living, and I think, you know, a lot of people think you have to be in Las Vegas to make it, but you really don't. I mean, the popularity of Elvis is just, it's all over the world. You know?
I can't imagine anywhere further away from Vegas than Porthcawl in South Wales.
It's hard to get to Porthcawl.
I know, the first time that you arrived, you must have thought, what's going on here?
You see it out there, man. It's bigger this year, I think, than it has ever been.
Well, in terms of Elvis fans, where does this rank, or for Elvis performers as well, where does this Porthcawl festival rank?
I'd say it's up at the top, you know. It could even be #1, as just, you know, as far as the collective hysteria, you know, around the whole town. And it's more of a celebration of Elvis's music.
And if you were to pick a stage in his career where you think that's when he was at his best?
I'd say his early years in Las Vegas. You know, he was just the top of his form. His voice was at the top of his life. You know, he was into the martial arts. I just think that's when he was at his peak.
And outside of the performance side of his life, how much of his life do you emulate? Do you do martial arts?
Well, I pretend well.
I mean, I'm assuming that, you know, you're having dressed like this just for today. In order for your job, you got to keep your hair black and...
Yeah, I mean, you have to play the part, so, you know, it's like anything, you have to advertise. And, you know, when you're out like this, it's walking advertisement.
I've always wanted to ask somebody this, who performed as Elvis. All of these sightings of Elvis, so, you know, people say Elvis isn't dead, I've seen him in various places. How many of those sightings do you think were you?
I don't know.
Well, as far as I'm
Probably none, and, you know, it's just, you know, he's definitely gone, but in body, but in spirit, you can see, man, he's going to be around for a long, long time.
Well, listen, Craig, thanks a million for your time. When you leave Porthcawl, where do you go next?
Back home to Texas, and then off to Vegas for a while, and back on the road.
Well, if I don't see you in Porthcawl, I'll see you in Vegas. I never thought I'd ever say that to anyone in my life. Great, thanks a million. So I'm here in Porthcawl at Europe's largest Elvis tribute act conference. There's been a bit of a crime. The police have asked us to get a lineup of suspects who might have committed the crime of singing an ABBA song. We're not entirely sure who it was, so we've got what we've found is the best collection of Elvis tribute acts in Porthcawl in this room at this time, although somewhere else in another room there's another load of them. You've never seen so many Elvises in your life. Look at this. That's just once for me, please. Just give me a collective. Now I'm joined here by two chicks in pyjamas who are reported to be the best Elvis tribute act backing singers. So how did you get into it?
Well, a band was formed in Merthyr called Wasteland Band, and they were an 18-piece. You know, it was basically, well, it was a massive tribute doing the Vegas show, and we had 4 backing singers, and myself and Lucy were 2 of the 4 backing singers. Right,
just stop for a minute. So there was an 18-piece tribute band formed to Elvis
in Merthyr. Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Did they get a lot?
In the band.
I was going to say, you have to get people brought in from other villages. But who was the Elvis?
Festival. Juan Lozano was the Elvis.
Juan Lozano?
Juan Lozano.
That sounds like a typical Merthyr name, doesn't it? Where was Juan from?
Merthyr.
How busy are you two?
We just have so much work through Elvis. It takes up a lot of our year.
Yeah, it does,
singing wise. Because we've both got day jobs as well. But,
so, when you say you've got work through Elvis, does like I was speaking to Craig Parker before, so if he comes over from America and says, I want some backing singers, will you do it? Is that what it's like?
Yeah, it's that type, it's like freelance, it's session work really. but we get to work with all different Elvises. We tend to do all the festivals, which is great.
Have you ever copped off with an Elvis?
This is horrendous.
Lucy doesn't pull anybody who doesn't wear a wig. Leave it!
So Elvis or judges? How big's the market?
Well, it's huge. The thing is, I did it 5 years ago, and a couple of guys said, "Oh, you know, like your jumpsuit, can you make us one?" And we've got, well, it's only one. It was never intended to be any more. And that's this fantastic suit, looks great, and the business has grown from there.
You can't tell me you make this. This is a
that's a real hair wig that we don't make.
Where did you get that from?
We get these they come from China. Oh, that's not going to look good. It's not a good look. It's not a good look.
But what about all of this stuff here?
This is all the stuff. This is all the tricks of the trade here. All the glue and remover to put.
£20 a pair for sideburns.
Yeah,
Look at that. Can you get a look at that?
And they're real hair ones as well.
Look what that is. That's a wig transportation kit.
And I use them myself.
Makes me think there's a false head in there.
There is.
There is.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that film, Seven?
Yes.
The end with the head in the box.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had the car crash and they're trying to cut you out the car and the police say, "Oh, what's this? Elvis is in the box." I've got a rare opportunity here. I'm now sat with Charles Stone, who's a man who worked with Elvis and worked with Colonel Parker, Tom Parker, which is a fascinating thing that you've written a book about that I know you're here promoting. Can I ask, how did you get involved with the Colonel and with Elvis?
Our company was we did all the rock shows in America at the time, Concerts West.
Yeah.
And we obtained the Elvis concert through Jerry Weintraub. And because
what year was this?
Late 71 maybe.
Yeah.
So when we decided to work, the Colonel picked cities that he remembered from the old days. Well, he picked Montgomery, Alabama, because he remembered a good catfish restaurant there that he wanted to eat at. I'm telling the truth, guys. So I was the only one in our company that had worked at that city. This is before computer tickets, now remember.
Yeah.
So you had to hire bank tellers from the banks to sell your tickets. It was a do-it-yourself operation from day one. I was in Providence, Rhode Island with Frank Sinatra. I got the call backstage. Next day I flew to Montgomery, Alabama, hired my bank tellers, put the tickets on sale and sold them out. I had a phone number to call when it sold out.
Let's just go through that sentence. I was backstage with Frank Sinatra. I got a phone call to say go and work with Elvis.
That's exactly how it happened.
That's some life,
That's exactly how it happened. And I had a phone number to call when it sold out. So I pick up the phone, I dial that phone number, someone answers, and I ask for Tom Hewlett. Who's this? I said, Charles Stone. He said, are you in Alabama? I said, yes. He said, this is a colonel. Well, I just locked up because I never expected to be talking to Colonel Parker.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I locked up. I mean, he's the biggest, Elvis and the Colonel are synonymous. I just locked up. And he said, are you in the box office? I said, yes, sir. I called him sir right off the bat. He said, I said, we've balanced, all the tickets are sold. I've balanced my manifest versus the money. Well, you look in every drawer for an extra, see if the tickets are all gone. I said, Mr. Parker, I've balanced. Mr. Stone, he got real firm. Look in, yes, sir. So I set the phone down on the counter and opened and shut the same drawer 6 times. Yeah. I said, no, sir, there's no tickets. He said, you've done a good job, come to California. I said, I'm supposed to go back on the Sinatra tour tomorrow, Colonel. Just a moment. So he puts Jerry Weintraub on the phone. Jerry says, Charlie, come on out here, I'll send somebody else. So I fly to California, and I'm there for 9 days. The Colonel took an instant liking to me, and from that day on, Elvis was all I did.
During that phase, you were obviously working with somebody at the height of their power in terms of the performer, but also Colonel Parker. Now, everyone has heard bad stuff about Colonel Parker. What was he really like?
Colonel was a genius. He was a genius. He gets a lot of blame for everything, but he always told me he has to be the guy that wears a black hat. Whether he's guilty or not, he took all the blame because he didn't. Elvis could be the god.
Yeah.
So he took all the bad blame, and whether he deserved it or not, that was his job, he said. And I respect that.
I got to ask you this. If you were on the road as the tour manager of the biggest star that the world's ever seen, what was the backstage action like? It must have been crazy.
Well, contrary to what people think about a backstage area, there's more people in this room than there were backstage. The venue manager was not allowed backstage.
Really?
Nobody. I mean, other than a band member, nobody was allowed backstage. When Elvis came in, he didn't want anybody he didn't know back then.
Really?
Yep.
And in terms of the facilities that I had backstage, what about the catering?
Catering.
The catering.
Well, today, you know, there's massive catering with all these stupid requirements. 6 Coca-Colas.
This was his rider?
6 cups and 1 bucket of ice in Elvis's room. That's it.
No.
Yep.
I get more than that. I'm more demanding than Elvis.
Well,
my rider's always three Cokes, three bottles of Coke, and tea and coffee facilities. And for some reason,
you get more than he got.
I got more than Elvis.
Well, at the end of the day, he didn't drink the Cokes. He drank Mountain Valley water. And he brought it with him.
If there was one abiding memory that you've got of Elvis or the Colonel, or that part of your life, what would it be?
With Elvis, it's the day that he gave him my TCB. You know what the TCBs are. It's a necklace with TCB and a lightning bolt, which means take care of business. If you had one of those from him, you're in his inner circle.
Really?
Yeah. So I got it maybe 2 years after I started working with him. He finally gave me something you don't ask for. And he gave it to me, and that's the most memorable moment of that. And working with the Colonel every day was memorable. There was never a dull day with Colonel Parker.
Listen, Charles, thanks
Thank
a
you,
million.
John. Thank you
And
very
thanks for coming all the way over to
pleasure.
Porthcawl. It's been an unbelievable experience. Porthcawl in September, you think it could be a disaster. It's been a lovely day, it's been fantastic weather, but the main thing, it's been probably what Elvis would have wanted. A lot of people being happy with his music, and you can't ask for more than that.